medical experiment. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to ScreenJunkies Universe. Darren Merle is here.
Hello, hello.
And he's recovered from his all-nighter.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Kevin did the all-nighter. Okay. I just was up and down. You know, I got some sleep.
Did you nap?
I napped for like a couple hours here and there. Okay. But Kevin, our editor, is the real hero. He stayed up all night and edited the Grouchies, which performed very well.
Yeah.
Yay.
So thank you for watching, and thank you to everyone who did that show.
Yeah. Well, including you, Dan, valiantly making the Grouchies, making the funnies happen. And Oscar night while I was on my couch with my cat. Danielle is here.
Hi,
Yay.
hello. I'm here doing stuff.
Well, it's lovely to see you, and I'm really pleased that you're here because we're going to be talking about the new Detective Pikachu trailer, which Ryan Reynolds, I think one of the best things about this trailer for me is how Ryan Reynolds promoted it, which every other studio should just hire him. I think he just has a side gig as a marketing expert. What do you guys think? So he just tweeted, it's really simple, but if you've ever taken an acting class, I think you'll appreciate it, Danielle. So he tweeted out this quote, acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances, which is a quote from Sanford Meisner, which is what you hear day one of acting 101 anywhere, that's the definition of acting. And then he was like, anyway, my point is there's a Detective Pikachu trailer tomorrow. And it's super, I think it looks super fun and cute. I was surprised myself by being in on the last one. You can't help but think he's really cute. And the combination of him and Ryan Reynolds' voice works for me. However, I'm understanding, Dan Merle, as a non-Pokemon expert, that there's some issues with this trailer.
Well, my only issue with it is I think it's giving away too much. It was something that we talked about before the show started, but you know, if you weren't, everyone who loves Pokemon, we were all in with the first trailer and with the Pokemon that we got to see. And so they've revealed so many, including revealing Mewtwo, which I think is a mistake. I think that should have been a surprise because Mewtwo is such a big deal. I love how I'm talking about this like I'm talking about Game of Thrones. Mewtwo.
Danielle, we talk about people singing in poodle masks on this show.
That's true.
Do it. Love what you love.
Yes.
But yeah, so Mewtwo is
that's our catchphrase. Love what you
love.
love.
Love what you love.
That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mewtwo is such a big deal in the Pokemon fandom. Mewtwo is this like...
Can I ask you one quick question?
Yes.
For clarification. Mewtwo, like Meowtwo? Is it like a cat, like Meowtwo? In, go, please.
So yeah, it's a genetically engineered, because you know all the Pokemon are kind of roughly based on like real world animals, which does call into question all kinds of things of animal cruelty. But yeah, that he was like this genetically engineered big bad, huge deal. I think they should have saved his reveal, and I think that they're showing us too many different Pokemon because by now, if you're into Pokemon, you're gonna go. And if the first trailer didn't get non-Pokemon fans on board, just throwing more of that at them, I don't think is gonna help.
So as Mewtwo, I'll confess, Dan, I have some questions about the ethics of Pokemon, and I
can
think
answer none of them.
Yeah, well, I'd like to posit this, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but this is basically dog fighting with adorable alien creatures. They hide them in little balls, and then they take them out to fight each other.
Yep.
Are you on board with this? You're a man of ethics. And integrity?
I don't know if there's a right answer to this question. I don't know. I know next to nothing about Pokemon. Almost nothing. I know who Pikachu is. I knew that the Mewtwo guy was a big person because I'd seen him on many Pokemon pictures, which to me says that must be a big person. That's about it.
Yeah.
So I still think this movie looks fun. And it looks like the one thing that I think a lot of Pokemon fans were a little disappointed with Detective Pikachu was like, oh, we want like an actual Pokemon movie.
Right.
But it kind of looks like that might be what this is.
They're definitely adding in the elements. You've got like the big stadium fight, which is cute because Pikachu's like, no, I'm good. And the thing with...
But he couldn't get his little electric tail going.
Yeah, he couldn't get it going. So one of the things about... Obviously, this is a different Pikachu than the Ash Pikachu. But the thing about Pikachu on the cartoon was that he was the only Pokemon that was like, I'm not going in that ball. what's wrong with you? Like, I want to be out here and I want to hang out. That's like a huge part of his personality as well. That is why he is the Beyonce of Pokemon.
And I'm learning so much today, so thank you, Danielle. Do you have a rebuttal to my ethics question?
There is not one. We are told that it's not like a genie in the bottle situation. They are very comfortable and happy in their Pokeballs. They like being in Pokeballs. They enjoy fighting in the same way that maybe a pro wrestler or pro football player enjoys them.
Aren't they like the UFC of animals?
Yes. Yes, you do train. You have to go out and you train them.
I think that's a suspect. I still have questions.
Do they
about
choose
this,
to fight?
No, you throw the ball and you go, it's literally, you say,
them.
I choose you. Like, literally, you throw the Pokeball and you're like, I choose you.
It's like if I captured you and then put you in a ball and I only let you out of that ball when I wanted you to talk about movies. And then I put you back in your ball. Even if you like the thing, you know.
Okay, so I guess it's just their job.
Yeah, so it's their job.
It's their job.
Yeah. Substitute ball for office, and that's pretty much what I do here. Right?
Well, that's true. We do keep you in that one ball.
That's true. And I also have a ball that I have to sit in.
That's true.
3 hours a day.
I will admit I was pretty skeptical about this movie, but I find myself surprised with how much I'm looking forward to its release on May the 10th. It's coming out. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if it lives up to all the promise of these trailers and marketing. And I do suggest that everyone consult Ryan Reynolds just about how to simply market a movie. I think he's pretty good at it.
Not just a movie, it's life.
Life himself.
He markets like happiness.
Yeah.
His gin thing, like that thing he did with Hugh Jackman, where they both did commercials for each other's.
Yeah.
Brilliant, super smart. It's either Ryan Reynolds or he has someone amazing who works for him and does all that stuff. But he's kind of funny enough off the cuff that I wonder if it's him.
But either way, because if he has a person that has that mind for it, he's listening to them.
Yep.
And I think that in and of itself is a very good quality, because a lot of times people have support around them, people that are offering really good ideas, and they don't listen.
Nope.
We never had to talk to a person. Never one time.
Oh, yeah. When you were dealing with Ryan Reynolds.
When we've done Honest Trailers, we've never had to go through anyone. It's literally just right to the source. So I think it's him.
Okay, that's cool.
Just me.
Yeah. Well, that's Detective Pikachu. Let us know what you think about the movie and the questionable ethics and the marketing, and anything else you're thinking about today. Is it food? I don't know. That's normally what I'm thinking about. Speaking of food, Rotten Tomatoes, Dan Merle.
Yes.
Thank you. I didn't even plan it.
Where's our segue
It just sort of
graphic?
happens.
Do we still have it?
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Someone appreciates me, and it's Ryan back there in the corner. Oh,
There we go.
Yay!
Yeah.
We haven't seen that in a while.
I like it.
So they are battling back against the trolls, as it turns out, which part of me thinks that's really funny, because if you think about the idea of Rotten Tomatoes, what are Rotten Tomatoes but the vegetable that people used to throw in crowds at performers that they weren't happy with? So they basically are like proto-trolls. Like the whole idea of it is proto-trolling. But that aside, they're changing their review system, which I think is great. We talked about this the other day. We asked ourselves if they had a onus to the people that visited their sites to paint a more accurate portrait of what a wide audience believes about a film. And I looked up that they took that question upon themselves, and they thought, yeah, we do. So this is basically they released this on their own site. As you guys know, the audiences, sometimes there will be groups of people that like kind of decide to downvote a movie before it even comes out. That happened with Star Wars now. It happened with Captain Marvel. It happened with Black Panther and a number of other films. So they have said, okay, we're no longer going to allow comments or you to vote on the audience ranking of a film before it comes out. And just to be really clear, what they were voting on was anticipation.
Want to see. Yes.
Want to see, but they felt that it was too confusing for maybe the average visitor to discern the difference between the audience score after it was released and the anticipation score.
And the media, to be fair. There was a lot of coverage that I saw that was just like, audience reviews on Rotten Tomato for Captain Marvel are at an all-time low. And I would just like watch it just like,
Yes,
no, you have to also cover it properly, because the media thought I know. This is what I do a lot when I read my computer. Like, people like audience review. It's like, it's not the audience review. It's different than the audience review.
Yeah.
It's so it was confusing to a lot of different people.
Yeah, I saw one where it said it earned, and it's like, well, it's not out yet.
No,
It
it
hasn't-
hasn't. Yeah.
Very few people have seen this film yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically just some members of the press to do the junket, so and the executives and so forth. But in any event, so they took it upon themselves to do this, which I thought was really great. And they're only going to open it up, the audience score, when the movie is opened. They kind of have a new simplified. They're making a number of changes just for their users, like more simplified graphics. So I really, really, really applaud that. However, I do have another concern, and Dan and I got a tweet from someone the other day, and forgive me, I want to pull up your name. I'll give it a shot here in a minute, saying that they've not only made that change, which I think is a really positive change, but they've also removed the median score on a movie, and now it's just the percentile tomato score. So what that means is tomato score, as we talked about this, Dan did a whole video on it, you should go watch it, is binary. It's rotten or fresh, period. But the median score is something could be fresh, 93% fresh, but mostly rated about a 7.5, which paints a different portrait of what critics in large thought about the movie. It has a bit more nuance to it because maybe most critics liked it, 93% liked it, but 93% liked it in a way that gives it about a B+.
Yeah, like that's not saying it's an A. It's not saying it's 93% good out of 100 good.
Yes.
It's saying
93% liked the movie, which is, that nuance is now lost in. What do you think?
Yeah, that average rating is something that I'm on the record. I mean, I made a video saying I thought that was the only number that they should use. I thought they should only use the average rating when showing rotten or fresh. But I also get why the binary system is easier to, it's more, oftentimes more extreme, which can be good or bad, but it's also just easier.
Yeah.
Yes, no, up, down. It's the Siskel and Ebert effect. Love Roger Ebert, love Gene Siskel, but that's the effect largely that they had on criticism. Was it became less about the nuance, more about the I don't like any change where that score would be harder to find, because I think then the discussion becomes even more about the polarity of a movie in only terms of good and bad, yes and no, which I think is great for consumer reviews but terrible for film criticism, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a losing fight. Like, I know that there's no one is ever really going to look at the average critic rating is never mentioned in any news story about a Rotten Tomatoes score or any tweet that I get about a Rotten Tomatoes score or anything. That's all that people look at anyway. I don't like that. I hate it removes so much nuance out of what's actually happening with the movie. By the way, including films that people like that are reviewed poorly, oftentimes fare much better if you look at the average user rating or at the average critic rating.
They might be at a 6.
It could be at a 22% fresh, but with a rating of like a 5.7, which would I did a video on it that went deeper into this, but it takes, when you look at it from the tomato meter, it makes movies look like they do this.
yeah.
Good and bad.
And
when you look at the average rating, it sort of just all spreads out. So I'm not so much in favor of that, but it was never going to be the number.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting to me, and Danielle weigh in on this, is that to your point, is that really there's not that wide a gap probably between a movie that has a 93% fresh and a movie that has a 23%. If it's the average is 6, which is, I think, the dividing line between fresh and rotten is 6. And at least it was when I was bothering to upload my reviews, which I should get back into. It's hard, the self-upload, I find. Dan's going to fight me on that because it's probably not hard. I'm just choosing to do other things with my time. My point is this. And then another one has a 7.5. Like, that's really not that wide a gap, but it looks so wide. So I wonder if what they're going to accidentally do is drive more people to Metacritic, which does rate only the median. What do you think?
I think it's possible because, again, even, if something is rated a 5.7, I might still go see that in theaters, depending on if I'm like, look, that could be that just the subject matter is something that I would be more into that someone else isn't. There, like you said, it's a lot of different factors and it's very subtle. I personally might start using Metacritic more because I like subtlety. I'm this binary way of talking about movies is something that's also been kind of bugging me because it is so subtle. It's like, when we did that Venom review and I gave it positive with, the thing of like, hey, I think this is glorious trash. So if you think I'm going into this review just saying like, this is the best thing I've ever seen, no, was it amazing and was it fun and was it exactly what Danielle Radford likes? Yes. And so you do lose those kinds of subtleties when you're doing this. And so yeah, I might start going over to Metacritic. It would be interesting to see how many people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metacritic hasn't done a good job of marketing themselves the way Rotten. I will say the people that I think are really brilliant at Rotten Tomatoes, I think they do a lot of things really well. But one of them is, and I really mean this, is their PR department. Their path to market themselves and get themselves in the zeitgeist has been brilliantly executed. Fandango has followed suit. And I just think they've done that really well versus Metacritic, which I don't think a lot of people have even heard of.
Well, because it's very limited in scope.
Yeah.
It's I think it has the reputation of being a little stodgy just because it's still print only. Even the number of print critics that it uses is very small. I think it's 20 or 30 or something like that. It's a very small. It's what Rotten Tomatoes used to be.
Yeah.
But it is more. There's more room for subtlety in it, but it just doesn't have the snap. It doesn't have the snap of. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes cracked it like Siskel and Ebert cracked it. They cracked a way to get people engaged with film criticism, which is good if people took the extra step. But a lot of people don't. They just look at the score and that's it. They don't read the reviews. They don't look at anything else.
Yeah.
Even the system that they had to change with the want to see thing, like that is, if used properly, a nice tool, but people didn't use it properly. It became another weapon in an ongoing war between people who don't like this franchise for this reason and they like this franchise for that reason, or vice versa. I saw Zachary Levi made a social media post saying, stop it. Like, this is ridiculous. Like Shazam and like Captain Marvel, like both of them. This is dumb. This is stupid. Don't do that. And we talked about, we wish, you said Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
It's good. People are having to get involved at this point. So the systems generally are only as good as people interpret them and or use them. And Rotten Tomatoes, I think, often is just used and weaponized improperly. And that can be a real bummer.
Well, it's the headline problem, right? Like, people make these sexy headlines and you see them on Twitter, but no one's clicking. They're responding to the headline.
Yeah.
So no one's reading the story. They're reading that, or they're reading like the pull quote. And some of the best people will actually take a chance and be like, hey, here's the thing. And then I'm going to screenshot or I'm going to quote some of the things in the story to put the headline into context. But a lot of people aren't doing that extra step. And it's like, I guess we can't make them. So how do we mitigate that?
There's no way to mitigate it, really. It's just kind of, for all of the various reasons that we know, just the escalation of the news cycle, the escalation of social media, the speed with which information is meant to be delivered has meant frankly, a degradation of the quality of that information in both not all cases, but in some cases, the delivery of the information, and certainly in the consumption of it and the analysis around it. And instant rage is the name of the game in social media a lot of the time. And I've thought a lot about that, actually. And headlines have to be that way. They really do, because otherwise you're not getting anybody to read your article at all. You don't even stand a chance because it won't generate any interest. So it's just, I don't think there is any way to mitigate it other than each of us taking on personal responsibility to choose not to react to something until we've actually looked in a little bit. And sometimes that doesn't happen for any of us because we're just really busy, and it's kind of the way our culture operates.
And the news cycle now is what, like 3 hours, 6 hours? You might see a tweet from like
10 minutes.
Yeah, you might see a tweet or something was trending 6 hours ago and be like, well, I don't want to weigh in on this because everyone's hot taked it to death, and I don't want to be part of that series of hot takes.
Jump on the bandwagon.
That happens to me all the time, where people will be like, well, why aren't you tweeting about this? Why aren't you tweeting about that? I'm like, I want to actually take time and like to discuss something intelligently instead of just jumping on a headline or jumping on whatever. I want to actually do some critical thinking. And by that time, frankly, I am so burnt out by everyone's hot take on either side that it's just like, well, I know what my opinion is. If it comes up and someone asks, I will be glad to, do my tweet storm. But it's also like, there's only so much I can do in that 240, and not everything is worth 5 tweets to be like, hey guys, read a thing.
But most things aren't.
Most things are not. I have work.
I think what this will achieve is, because of the score going down and because people took notice and then they wrote stories and then it was and then the media, then the press coverage about Captain Marvel the last week has been this, has been the audience score and blah, blah, blah. Is it trolls? And I think what this will do is hopefully, as before a movie comes out, get rid of this particular narrative, because it would have happened again with episode 9 in December. This idea that the story about a movie is this small and very concerted group of people that are determined to destroy it at all costs. That is not the majority of moviegoers.
Yeah.
No.
It is not, but that has received 95% of the coverage this past week about Captain Marvel, because they can, and they know this. They can go somewhere like Rotten Tomatoes and bomb the score, and people will notice, and people will start talking, and people start talking about them and to them, and then it becomes a big story. Even though it's not a large number of people, it's become 90% of the coverage. I think what Rotten Tomatoes smartly is doing here is removing that mechanism so that, yes, when the movie comes out, the same people are going to go and review bomb it when they're able to. You can't stop that. There's no stopping that. But what it does do...
Well, there is a way to stop that.
Well, you could take away audience input altogether, but...
No, you could, because think of who owns Rotten Tomatoes. There's a way to stop it from someone who hasn't actually seen the movie, which is if they somehow are able to, and by the way, I am not a data scientist, so I don't know how this would work, the taxonomy of this, but if you were somehow... Fandango owns Rotten Tomato. If you were able to only allow people that had purchased tickets through Fandango to vote on the audience score, you would know that they had at the very least purchased a ticket to see Captain Marvel, if not at least seen it, so that their review is a valid in the sense that they have at least either seen the movie or paid to see the movie. You could do it that way, but there's probably reasons why they wouldn't, in terms of like that probably narrows the scope
It does.
quite a little bit and may disenfranchise some of the Rotten Tomatoes viewers. I'm not sure, users, but anyway, that was my thought.
I just mean that you can't stop people from doing this in general, but I just hope that
definitely.
what this does is just take this particular narrative away, because it is certainly one element of the movie, but it's the only thing that I've heard about this movie in the last week. And I've
told you about the cat, though. I did mention the cat.
Yes. I think that it's a smart move, because this shouldn't be the story about a movie. Like, it can be one component of the story about the movie. But the entire story about a movie before it comes out shouldn't be one very motivated group with a lot of time on their hands that don't like Brie Larson for comments that she made, or don't like the movie because of whatever reason, or they didn't like the last movie in the franchise, and they get to dictate the entire conversation about a film before it comes out. I don't think that's very fair for any movie.
Agreed.
Be that a DC movie, be that... By the way, not fair to Shazam either, that now Shazam is wrapped up in this, and now the conversation about Shazam is that it's in the Captain Marvel thing and Zachary Levi. It's not fair to any movie that gets wrapped up.
Leave this fun, silly, goofy movie that I, by the way, cannot wait for. Leave it out of it. Leave the negative stuff. And I applaud Zachary Levi for saying, you can enjoy both movies. It's okay if you like one or the other, but we're not in competition.
Yeah.
We just want to make good movies that people like.
Do you know what I would like to see? I would like to see the two Captain Marvels, with Shazam and Captain Marvel, join together in a PSA to tell everybody to have a little bit of chill. They're movies. They're meant to be fun. One's got a cat. One's basically big with a superhero.
Can't wait.
What's not to like?
Yeah.
I mean, those are fun things in both of them. They're things... go enjoy movies. But I do think that, again, and I know we've sort of talked about this before, the fascinating thing to me, and the point that you make that's so smart, is about that it is, and we've talked about this before, it is this tiny segment of the population that is generating 95% of the noise around any given thing. That I don't know that to your point, how do we mitigate that? That's also the nature of where we've gone in terms of technology. And I don't know that there's a way back. There might be a way forward.
Yep.
Together. Gremlins. It was a film that a lot of us enjoyed. And Warner Brothers knows that, which is why they are reportedly, though they haven't confirmed this, going into production on an animated series for their upcoming streaming service. This is via Variety, who says that their sources have told them that this is in development, but that Warner has not weighed in. But according to their sources, the series is said to be a period piece that would follow Mr. Wing, who is the grandfather played in the film by Kay Luke, as a young man as he's wandering around with Gizmo. Running around with Gizmo.
I need this. I need this so much.
Yeah, we all need this. Z Chun is attached to write and executive produce, reportedly. He has been known for 2013's Cold Comes the Night, with Bryan Cranston, 2009's Children of Invention. TV credits include Gotham and Once Upon a Time. He's the co-founder of a comic book publisher, TKO Studios. I gotta say, I want to read this quote because I think this is one of the more telling quotes, where at TCA's Kevin Riley, the chief creative officer for Turner, talked about that moving forward with the streaming service in 2020, and he said he would be looking to mine the in-house properties for things like Gremlins, of course.
The hard hats are on, the lights are on, they got the pickaxes, they're mining every scrap that they've got.
And they have a massive library, so they're looking at their library, not surprising there, to generate new content based on beloved IPs, which is literally the name of the game for anybody, but also that they would take back properties like Friends, which is at Netflix, as we know, for a huge deal. And we've talked about this a bit, that we imagine they'd be moving it to their OTT service. And this is what he said: "You can expect the crown jewels of Warner will ultimately end up on our new service," adding that, quote, "sharing destination assets like that is not a good model," which is such a sick burn if you're reading between the lines. And it's the first time I've heard an executive really come out and say, like, we're not giving anything to Netflix anymore. And
Welcome
Netflix.
to the future. This is what it is. We're going back to cable until everything collapses, and then we start over again, where everyone's going to have their separate channels with their separate things. Remember when we all cut cords because we didn't want to pay like $100?
Yeah.
Remember when we did that, and now we're going to be back to paying $100 because it's $7 here and $4 here and $10 here.
Yes.
Also that we can watch the same 40 to 50 things that are actually really good, and then the rest of it that we're not interested in. Good job.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
We watch a lot of things, though. That's a lot
I
of
do
things.
feel like what we are gaining, though, is a little window into the past, because every service now is so desperate to mine that they're coming up with animated, like Star Trek. There's new Star Trek animated series, now a Gremlins animated series. This is going back to the time when I was a kid, when everything was a cartoon. RoboCop was a cartoon.
Oh my God, it was.
Yes, RoboCop was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Beetlejuice?
Back to the Future was a cartoon. Beetlejuice was a cartoon. If it was a hit movie, it was a cartoon.
Do you remember the wrestling cartoon?
There was a wrestling cartoon.
Do you remember that one?
There were a bunch of them.
Bo Jackson had a cartoon with Michael Jordan.
That's right.
Macaulay and Wayne Gretzky. Macaulay Culkin had a cartoon called
MC
Wish
Hammer?
Kid. You just had
MC Hammer had a
You just had to
cartoon?
be a personality and you got a cartoon. Everyone's getting a cartoon
Kid
again.
and Play. Wow.
Oh my God, Kid and Play did. Yes.
They totally had a cartoon.
Everybody had a cartoon. And we're going back to this now, where everyone's getting a cartoon again. Which
gotta
I don't
say,
mind.
I'm kinda into
I just
it.
wish I could watch them all in one place and
Yeah.
not subscribe to 20 different places to watch all the
Well,
cartoons.
that's the problem with everything, because now I got to admit, the other day I relented. I tap out. I'm getting CBS All Access because that damn Twilight Zone trailer
Yep.
got me, and there's no way I'm not watching that show. I'm watching that show. It's happening. So I'm signing up. Yeah, it is exactly cable. We've been talking about this for a while, which is really frustrating if you still have cable on top of it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and I'm curious about this because I don't know the numbers on this, obviously. But I know that for a lot of people who were doing a lot of torrenting and things like that, part of the reason they were, and it was because things were not necessarily available and easy. And I've talked to people who used to torrent, and they've said, and this is obviously anecdotal evidence, that once things got on Hulu and once things got on Netflix, you didn't have to torrent stuff anymore. Are we going to go back to seeing seeing the upsurge in torrenting now?
Probably.
Judging from our comments section,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of comments.
Probably.
You don't see them because torrenting is stealing, and don't tell yourself anything different.
Don't steal.
It's theft, and it's illegal. This is your dad talking, and just the reminder, it's stealing.
A lot of people work on those movies, guys.
When we see those, we usually
they do.
Those comments usually go away. But I see a lot of people saying like, "Yeah, I'll just go back to pirating everything."
But
Okay,
I think you're right, and it is a problem because that's so easy to do for anyone that is not me and does not know how these things work. But it's really problematic to your point, and there've been all these ad campaigns and stuff like that, and I get how probably annoying it is to be like, it doesn't just hurt, but it really does. If you look at what happened in the music industry, we don't want to see the people that work in entertainment not be able to work because it's only the very, very, very tiny few people at the top that are the ones that you're watching run around with millions of dollars. Most people are earning a living. It's not a crazy living, it's a living. That's your mom talking. Mm-hmm. And eat your vegetables. Okay. But I do want to talk about the idea of Gremlins itself, and if we are excited for the idea of this series.
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with Gizmo as a kid. That was the reason why I fell in love with Pekingese. Give me all the Gizmo. Yeah. Give me the things. You have me. I got it. I will. What is it? I will buy it. I'm a sucker. They have me. They have my money. They have my wallet.
Yeah. I'm on board if they explain. Mara and I have this conversation all the time. The rules. Is it like don't feed them after midnight? Is that local time? Like if you took Gizmo to New York and you lived in LA and if you fed him I
think it's local time.
I wonder if it's like a moon thing and they were just trying to stay away from maybe it being a little like that, because that could be a go around where it's like, well, when the moon is this high, that's when it's midnight and that's when you can't feed the dudes.
Yeah, I think it's local time.
But when does that window end? Because after midnight, technically right now is
sunrise.
After midnight. Is it sunrise?
If we're looking at blue laws, the way that it typically works when you can't buy alcohol is that you can't start buying it again until 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's got to be what it's like
that's
for the
what it
Gremlins.
is.
These are the questions that I would very much like for them to answer. Yeah. And this cartoon should just be called, what is it? Mr. Wing explains Gremlins to Dan. Yeah. And every week he explains to us about how these rules work, because I'm very curious about them in general.
Okay. Also, though, I do want on every episode a random cut to actual Phoebe Cates telling some horrific story about a beloved holiday. It could be Flag Day with a horrible choking accident.
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day is certainly rife with water opportunities. There's a number of things that we could do. I just that's all I'm asking for, and I don't think it's a lot.
Plus, also more work for Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, what's Phoebe Cates doing?
Let's bring back Phoebe Cates.
Where's she been?
We just got back Michelle Pfeiffer. Give me back my Phoebe Cates.
She did.
Yeah. All right. I think we solved it for the most part.
We did it.
Ryan, do you have any needs back there? Do you need me to say anything for you on your behalf?
No.
Okay. He says no. JT, are you good in the booth? What's happening on Twitter? What's the most interesting story you read in the last 30 minutes while we've been talking?
I haven't been on Twitter.
Okay.
We should note that Joe and I reference this on today's Honest Trailer commentaries, but for the SJU audience that maybe hasn't seen, but we should congratulate, and the reason why you might see a different crew up here for the next several weeks, we should congratulate Spencer
Can
Gilbert.
we do that publicly?
Yes, I spoke to him.
He said it was okay.
Yes, he did. He will be gone for the next 6 weeks because he is on paternity leave.
He had a baby!
So, congratulations, Spencer.
Congratulations,
Spencer.
A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful baby. So cute. He did a good job making him human.
They did a wonderful job.
I should say his wife did a lot of the heavy lifting in that regard. So Jackie did a wonderful job. That's so great that you're able to talk about it. I thought it was forbidden.
I asked him specifically. I said, we can just say that you're on a secret mission. And he's just like, no, it's cool. So congratulations, Spencer.
Congratulations.
The panel will rotate because we'll be filling in for him. But
yes,
with happy times.
And eventually, maybe there will be a baby appearance I don't know. We can't
don't
promise
know.
that. That we can't promise.
promise.
We can't promise any of that. But
I would not expose my baby to the bright YouTube lights before the age of 24.
No one should be on the internet before age 24. Dan Merle has said.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But we will promise that eventually we'll bring back Dalton the dog, and maybe a surprise visit from Taco or Millie,
Ooh,
because
yeah.
Dogs are welcome here and they can't read comments. It's been lovely to have you guys with us today. I hope you're having a beautiful day and enjoying, what is it, Tuesday? We said that at the beginning.
I'm confusing you because I'm here.
I'm just happy to see you, is the truth. I'm just feeling good. That's the weird part. That's why it feels weird to be in my body right now, because I just feel happiness. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.